talk about caramelizing an onion. When you caramelize an onion, it turns from being very sharp and very strong in flavor to being very sweet and a lot more mild in flavor than a raw onion would be. A couple of things. I want to show you how to slice an onion the way I like to slice it. And what I do is I'll cut it in half one time right through that root. And that's the last time that I'll cut through that root. And that's for a couple of different reasons. One, the root will hold it in place while I slice the rest of the onion. But two, the greatest concentrations of the things that make you cry are in this root area here, and I like to minimize that as best I can. So all I'm going to do is just slice the front end off of the onion, not the root end, and I'll do that to both here. Meanwhile, I'm going to start heating my pan. So I try my hardest to make them as even in thickness as I can. So I've been heating my pan here, and I'm going to start off with a pretty large pan. I want to use a large pan so that it has a greater surface area than, say, this medium-sized pan here. And what that does is it gives greater contact between the food and the pan so that you're getting more browning at one time than you would if you overcrowded this type of pan. The other thing is, if you overcrowd this pan here, then it's just going to sweat. The onions will sweat and lose liquid, and you'll get simmering onions instead of caramelizing onions. So I'll take a little bit of my high temperature canola oil, which basically means it can be put into a pan that's very hot without smoking. And I'll put a little bit of that oil in here. And I'm going to start my onions on a pretty high temperature and get a little bit of the onions to get a little bit of color. And then I'll turn it down and cook it over a low flame for a good long time until it becomes very deep in color, a deep mocha color, and you can just smell it's become very, very sweet. Now, one other thing is, I don't add any salt to the pan at this point. Now, I do like to add salt to my onions. It makes them taste a whole lot better. But if I added salt now, it would leach out a whole lot of liquid. And again, the onions would swim in their own juices as opposed to making that semi-dry contact with the pan, which is going to give us the caramelization that we're after. Now I'm starting to take on a little color. And at this point, what I like to do is turn it way down because I want to get a very even cook on this. I want it to turn a nice deep brown and not char on the outside. So we're going to let this go for a good 6 or 7 minutes. So these onions have been cooking for about 5 or 6 minutes, and they are, you can see they've taken on a nice darker color, and they've just gotten a lot more soft and a lot sweeter. Now there's so many things you can do with caramelized onions from, you can put it into any dish that calls for onions. You can make it into a dip for crostini. You can garnish dishes with it. You can make a soup from it, any kind of a sauce for beef.